So this topic was brought up by Kirk, and it was at the end of the last group thing that we did. He said, I would really like to talk about ADHD and something for someone. And when you think about that, that kind of embodies exactly what we do, is by talking about ADHD in our own unique styles, unique ways, all those kind of things, we are reaching someone. And it was just the most unbelievable comment of 3 words that we've got to talk about it. So basically, I'm going to turn this over to Kirk and let him explain why he chose it, just in more detail. So Kirk, have at it, man. And thank you, because that's like the greatest slogan ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something I've been thinking about the whole time. And I think why that phrase kept sticking with me is that that's the whole point of this group, is that we all have had someone influence us in a positive way, whether that's getting help with diagnosis, whether that's a psychiatrist, whether that's someone else in the ADHD community, whether that was Lobau, whether that was someone else in this group. Like, we've all had someone impact us from the ADHD community. And the reason we've started this group in the first place, the reason we're all here, is that we want to do the same thing for other people. And some people have done that on Twitter. Some people have done that on the podcast through YouTube. That some people are coaching, some people are mentoring, and like this group has a really, really big chance to do good things. And whether that's 1 person or 10 people or 10,000 people, that's why we're here. That's why I want to brainstorm today. That's why I want to hear stories. That's why I want to hear ideas. Like, I've been really, really excited for this idea and for this episode for quite a while. I think the best way to start would probably be hearing how other people have impacted us. That part doesn't necessarily need to be super long, because more importantly, I think we can talk about what we can do in the future to be someone for someone else. And that's it.
It's basically like we're all different, right? I mean, we all have our ways of going about how we reach people, but also how we help ourselves. I think that they kind of coincide to where the strategies that everyone here uses to deal with their particular ADHD, those strategies, how do those, by example, help somebody else? What are some hacks? What are some things that you do that are that are unique to you, and what has resonated the most with people? And I think that's kind of, you agree with that, Kirk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So I will start with you, Kirk, since you came up with the topic in terms of what do you do on a daily basis, or it doesn't even have to be a daily basis, just any strategy that you use to make your ADHD life better, and has that impacted somebody else, or are you looking to find a way to show how you do things to someone else?
So this is evolved over time, because we started talking about this a little bit before all of us went live. I got diagnosed super young. I was in 2nd grade. And that was probably in a spot where a lot of people were getting misdiagnosed at that same time, but I got really lucky. I got a good diagnosis. And so ADHD has always been part of my identity, even from when I was 9 years old. And because of that, it's been really easy to have open conversations about it. And sometimes that just meant that I was fine talking about it, And so it's easy to find other people who had ADHD. I distinctly remember finding people in college like, oh, you have ADHD too. How do you study? Do you take meds? Like, do you like taking meds? Do you like your psychologist? Like, do your teachers help you? That just having that open conversation provided me with a very clear picture of what ADHD looked like around me. And so when other people were just as open, this dialogue created something really, really special. Whether that was an opportunity in a class or whether that was having someone that was willing to listen to me or someone willing to listen to them. So that open dialogue has always been a really, really big deal. And for a long time, there wasn't anything I was doing about my ADHD. Like I wasn't taking meds, I wasn't in therapy, nothing. I'd sort of learned to cope, but I wasn't really thriving in ways I could, and I wasn't having that open dialogue anymore. And actually at my current job, the 3 people that have been at the job the longest, all 3 of us have ADHD. All 3 of us are medicated. All 3 of us have either have a regular psychiatrist or a therapist or both. So suddenly that dialogue opened back up again. And because I was willing to talk about it, because they were willing to talk about it, all of us have been a little bit more bold, like talking to our therapists, talking to our friends, hopping on Twitter. And because of that, that's how I ended up here. That's how I got picked up on Twitter, because I wanted to be a part of that conversation again. And although I feel like sometimes if I look at, especially this group with how many people are super, super active in social media or in their jobs or their careers with ADHD, I think, oh, I have a really small part to play right now. But that's okay, because if there's 2 people or 3 people who get on board or get diagnosed or get meds or feel confident because I kept that dialogue open, or because I liked their tweet or responded and said something nice, like if that's all my job is, I'm okay with that. And if I get to do something bigger, if I get to stream a really cool podcast live, then awesome, great. And I think I want everyone to know in this group, if all you're doing is encouraging one person or coaching one person, like that's okay, that's enough. You're doing your job. You've helped someone. And that's another reason why I wanted to call it Something for Someone as well, because it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be this like life-changing force that has changed millions of lives to be relevant in this space and in this group. If you're helping one person, you are relevant, you are important, you are making a difference. So if that's your story, I want to hear it. If you are the life-changing force and you've changed millions of people's lives, dope. I'm glad you're on the podcast. But yeah, that's me. That's what I've got.
That is awesome. And honestly, Kirk, it was because like when I first joined Twitter reluctantly, you liked one of my tweets, and I was like, "Oh, look, the heart button. That's cool. I think I'll reach out to him, see if he wants to talk about ADHD. That'll be fun." And that's it. And now I like literally, Kirk has helped me so much with this podcast that, I mean, it just from day one. So I really appreciate that. So yes, like you are a big reason why this happens. I can just tell you that right now. So in terms of something for someone, you're something to me. I can tell you that, because I don't know any of this technology worth a shit. Okay. And that's, but,
I'll take it.
Yeah. So next, Leo.
All right. So yeah, I think, for me, I actually still haven't been officially diagnosed. There's kind of like a half diagnosis of ADHD in my record, but haven't been able to actually like get officially diagnosed yet. So the one thing I really found was that like ADHD Twitter was just super helpful, mostly for like taking time away from the other stuff I was supposed to be doing and distracting me. But you know, beyond that, it was really helpful to like start like figuring out which parts of my personality were like ADHD and then autism as well, as I kind of later came to realize. And so, you know, one of the things that I've really tried to focus on is how do we make sure that people's voices are getting heard? Because the problem with Twitter that I see is that it's really easy to feel like you're speaking into an empty room. You know, because big accounts tend to like drown everything out. You know, people are interacting with the big accounts because they're the big accounts. And so there's just a lot of noise there. So one of the things I've been doing is I've actually been building out a platform called Feather. And I want to use that to actually help the community really ensure that everybody in the community is getting heard. So one of the things that I've been working with Lobao on is setting up this community on Feather. And I want to make sure that like anybody who is interested in like being part of this, essentially all you do is you just get like a weekly digest of tweets or daily. I haven't figured out, it'll kind of depend on volume. But the idea is that, you know, we're making sure that like the people in the community are getting heard, their stories are getting told, and that way, you know, whatever they're looking for, we can help them find their someone, right? Like everybody needs something. If you need something, like we want to be able to help you find that. So that's really what I'm working on. Feather will really be going live here probably within the next like 24 to 48 hours. I was hoping to have it fully like built and up and running. But everybody like who comes through the podcast will also, if you use the promo code SPARK, you'll be able to get like a free personal subscription, which gives you like up to like 16 individuals on Twitter as well. So happy to talk details and everything. But want to be able to sponsor the podcast with Feather and really provide these mechanisms for surfacing, you know, a community in which we can all have our voices heard. So with that, I will pass it back to you, Lobao. Whoever's next.
Awesome. Thanks, Leo. I did not know that you were doing the free thing for the Spark. That's just humbling and awesome all at the same time. But I mean,
I came up with it like right before, so it's great. Okay. It's perfect. A total ADHD thing. I'm like, this would be perfect because
I love it. I expect a text at 2 a.m. with an adjustment. That's perfect. So I mean, the whole thing to me, I'll just do this now actually, instead of waiting until the end, is basically, I want, like, I know my personality is not going to mesh with a lot of people's, but Justin's might, and Terry's might, and Anna's might, and Garind's might. I mean, all of y'all have different personalities to where not a lot of people, you know, want to be told, hey, shut the fuck up, you're fucking awesome, I don't want to hear your shit, you know, like that. I know that's my approach, but, and that works for some, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I guess my offer is, if you find someone that is reaching out that you see a tweet of or whatever, if you want to talk to that, you know, that person, no monetary stuff and all that, you know, all that crap doesn't matter. This is not monetized at all, you know, whatsoever. But if you do that and you want to make it into your special kind of like podcast thing where you're talking to people in your way, if you send me the MP3 file, I will edit it for you. If you want, send it right back to you, the raw file. And because I'm kind of quick at editing, and you can use it however the hell you want. And you don't have to put my name on it. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I want people to understand that if they have ADHD, there are so many other people out there that understand it, and y'all's combination of personalities can really fucking help, you know, these people. Because I can't help, you know, some, they'll be turned off by it, but others love it. I think it's a perfect combination of using your personality to help someone that you see something in Discord, someone posts, I'm having a hard time because of this and this and this. I might not understand that, but Geraint might. And that's kind of the whole, what I want to do here is you're already doing this. You're already affecting a lot of people. My thing is, if you want to talk to somebody one-on-one and you don't want to have to deal with like hosting and all that, paying the monthly fees for hosting podcasts or whatever, I've got that. Okay. That's fine. I do not care about that. I will host it on, Buzzsprout, send it back to you, and you don't have to mention low bow and all that kind of crap. It's your spark, not mine. So anyways, that being said, thank you, Leo, for for all of that. So moving right along, I think, how about Anna? She is the last guest, actually, that I spoke with.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I have two personalities, not two personalities, two streams to this. So as a coach, I am all about taking me out of the equation, listening to people and helping them figure out what is hard for them as unique individuals. What is it that doesn't work with your brain, makes you tired, makes you stressed, and how can you remove more of that from your life so that you have space to do more of the stuff that you love, that makes you happy, that leaves you energized and feeling good. And that just acknowledgement of, oh, do you know what? My brain works differently to other people. And that means I need different things to other people. And other people aren't going to necessarily know that I have these different needs and magically accommodate them. I've got to work out what I need and ask people for it. Is a really important part of that. And it's always amazing and humbling to me to see how tiny changes lead to huge changes when you find that thing that's the thing that's actually causing all the problems, that sounds really small, but it's having a big impact, and then fix it. I've had people's lives transformed by hanging up a pair of curtains or moving their medication to a different room so that they can see it and take it every day. Really like finding that thing that is the problem, and then kind of opening up people's lives so that they can go and do the amazing stuff that they want to do, right? Because I haven't yet met a neurodivergent person who doesn't have amazing ideas. It's a case of, what are the obstacles that are stopping you from having the time, the energy to do the things that you want to do? So that's really awesome.
And if I could interject here, I will say that you saved me about 6 hours over the last 2 weeks in terms of finding my keys. I went out and I got one bag. Okay, I did exactly as you described in our episode. I didn't lose them the whole. I mean, that was hours that I saved. So something for someone that helped me a shit ton.
It's great, because then like a couple of hours of Lovo a week, what's he going to do with that? I don't know, but it's going to be amazing, right? So that's that is it.
I'll probably post a TikTok video at 2 a.m. It gets 5 views, but yeah, I mean, if it's 5, it's 5. So moving right along. Thank you, Anna, very, very much. Let's go with Dorsey.
And figure out how to get the sound to come out of here, so it's a little awkward, and I had to do this morning for my recording of my other podcast, which is the ADHD dinner party. So myself and a couple of my buddies from school, from ADCA actually, decided to start this, and we're really excited, and we're just telling stories about our upbringing and food and our tricks in the kitchen and things that hopefully will help people. Well, my hope is that people will see that cooking doesn't have to be that hard, and that making tiny little changes to your cooking can make huge impacts on your health. I think some of the small things that I've been able to share with people that have made a big difference, and I know made big difference for me, are the importance of supplementations and getting all of the vitamins and minerals that you need in your body, because that really can help you operate at a level that maybe you haven't been able to get to with your ADHD. ADHD, energy management, I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. So if we can support our bodies so that they can be the best they can be, I think that's a really great thing. And so cooking and how to get those things in and how not to burn down your entire place, that's also equally important. Yeah, that's my thing.
Not burning down your place is a positive.
And also just to note, I got my first certification as an ADHD coach, so I'm really excited.
Oh,
about
hell
that.
yeah. Nice work.
And Flex Your ADHD is doing really well, and we're gonna do a whole new things in 2022 and have more resources and hopefully start some free group coaching out there for people who want to try it out and continue to connect people to coaches that need pro bono hours.
That's incredible. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Build in Public University, a safe place to promote your content the way you want to promote it. Geraint.
What am I doing? I don't know. I'm just actually. Can I just ask a question of Leo quickly? The feather thing, is that? Are you making feather, or are you making a community in feather? I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, so Feather's actually like a software platform I'm building. So it's feathercrm.io. And yeah, but it's just essentially going to be like a layer on top of Twitter that will provide a collection of tweets based on criteria, whether it's like tweets from a given community, tweets from a given person. It's essentially just giving you like a regular feed of updates from like people that you care about for a specific reason. So in this case, it's, for the Spark community, it's really all about like, making sure that people are heard. If people need something, we can really figure out like who to connect them to. We can help elevate people who are, putting together cool things. It allows us to kind of like amplify what people are working on at a community level. So there's a whole bunch, and we can get into that certainly in more detail. But yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Sorry, you might be able to also hear a cat screaming behind me.
We have kids.
He doesn't
we
like
have
it
cats.
when I'm.
It's fine.
He doesn't like it when I'm in rooms he doesn't expect me to be in. What am I doing? I'm a dick on the internet. That's what I do. I make tweets about ADHD that people describe as savage.
Sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, Geraint. I have to tell you, I saw a TikTok video of yours about like ADHD and I think anger, which is where it was like, if you do something to me, I'm either going to completely forgive you within about 30 seconds, or I will burn your house. It was something just totally extreme. I laughed about that for 4 hours.
So Anna's saving you 6 hours and I'm costing you 4 hours. I feel like that's probably the right.
I'm winning by 2. I'm winning by 2 hours in this case.
I mean that's kind of what I do. I talk about ADHD on the internet mainly because I'm annoyed that I was so old when I found out, and it wasn't even like something I thought about until like, oh, this is definitely a thing. Shut up. But I'm currently something I'm working on. I'm a bit reticent to. I'm writing a book. That's what I'm doing. I'm writing a book about ADHD, and I'm trying to talk about the more like the emotional impact of like a late diagnosis and coming to terms with it. I think there's a lot of stuff out there about like managing how to set reminders and lists and stuff, and I think shut up. And there's not enough, I think, about the like, the coming to terms with who you are. The other thing I'm doing is looking into how to make dice in bulk. I don't know if I made myself some life dice to try and organize my like executive dysfunction, like to get going. So I made some custom dice with all different icons on them to I basically roll them in the morning, and they're very like broad, like it could be the study or the bedroom, and I just got to do something in that room that day, and it's just a little like gift from the ether, as it were, rather than having to choose from everything. And then, like, lots of people keep messaging me about whether I'm selling them, and it's hard to make and sell dice in bulk. Is what I'm finding, but I'm looking into it. Those are the two things I'm doing that I think
love
might
it.
help people.
Like that would be stimulating as hell for people with ADHD. I mean, I think I'm
Yeah,
at a craps
I
table
hope
and then I
so.
do something. Like that's that's a great thing.
But ADHDers in general, you know, we're impulsive, and we are more likely to be in like lower income brackets. So I'm always a bit wary about sharing anything that, like, and that's how I feel about making things as well. It's like I want it to be useful. I find it to be useful, but I don't want you to like buy a thing because, oh my God, this will fix my life. And because the solutions that we have are all different and personal. And that's, I guess we're back to something for someone.
Well, that kind of makes like all of the sense in the world, actually. What you just said is, and it seems like you're creating dice or whatever you're doing it with your heart. It's not just for you. I mean, you are. I mean, behind the funny and the comedian in you, I mean, you got a heart of gold. You know that.
I'm very British, so I wouldn't admit to that. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm an asshole and American, and you know, I'll admit to it. That's fucking awesome. Terry.
Nice to meet you. Ones that I haven't been on Labal's podcast with yet. I'm really new. I'm really new here. And I did not find out that I had ADHD until a year ago, at 29. So it's been a trip. And honestly, if it weren't for ADHD Twitter, I really don't know if I would even know that I have it, along with all of the things to help. And, you know, I see things and I'm like, oh, okay, this person said that this was a great way to manage this. And like, I'll try it out. I'll be like, that did not work for me. Or I might have to change it somehow to fit me. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But something that I do every single day, or at least most days, and I try to do it in the morning, but it's not always in the morning. So like I've heard of people like journaling and doing like gratitude and stuff like that. And I tried doing that and it just wasn't like completely there. Cause I'm like, how many times could I write down coffee? You know, like 4 of my 5 things. So I started, I decreased the number of things that I have to write that I'm grateful for. And it could be big things, it could be little things, it could be silly things, whatever. Just something that like brings a smile to my face, or what has in the last like 24 hours. So I'll write 3 things down, but then I also write down like today, what am I proud of myself for? And that could be a big thing, that could be a little thing. But that kind of keeps me motivated, because it's so easy to get in like perfectionist mode. And I've struggled with anxiety for so long. And after finding out that I have ADHD, I'm trying to shed the person I thought I was supposed to be, that anxiety made me be. So I'm trying to show that I'm more proud of myself. And then I'll write one thing that I'm excited for. And that could be like, I'm excited for homemade spaghetti tonight, or I'm excited for today. It was the podcast. So there's always simple things I'm grateful for, something I'm proud of myself for. And that could be anything. That doesn't have to be like I met a sale goal, or I got a certification, or won something. I honestly, this week I've been putting things in like, I did not react poorly to bad news that I got this weekend. That's what I'm proud of myself for. And then you have something that you're excited for, because, and I think that's something that's across the board with people with ADHD, no matter what part of the journey that you're in. Because I know like when I've been low, depression, I'd still always get that little bit of excitement about something. And it may have been delusional at the time, but there's still that like inner urge to be excited, to look forward to something. So that's what's been helping me. And I guess it's not really like a management of time or executive function or productivity or anything. It's more of a management of emotions. And that's really what I've been focusing on lately, because I am so new to all of this, but I'm just trying to be authentic to myself while I'm going through this journey. And seeing everything that you guys do on Twitter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so amazed. And I honestly feel like when I first talked to him, I'm like, you do know I'm nobody, right? Like, I just think sharing your story, no matter what, is going to help someone, because there's another girl out there just like me who thinks she's nobody too, that, you know, and I don't want anybody to feel that type of way. So I just use any hardship or any negative emotion or whatever that I've had. And if I could help somebody have tools or strength or support or community for them to get through whatever that is, maybe a little bit easier than I did, then I'm happy with myself, and I could look myself in the mirror. Probably still can't sleep at night, but you know.
Terry, your leadership, when we did our episode, your leadership is ridiculous, and it proves to people that you can be in an upper management position at your job with ADHD at the same time.
Thank you.
We will move right along. Justin from Australia, by the way, it's 7 a.m. there. So
greetings. Hello. Anyone who has the challenges that we have, that has the audacity to create or the audacity to be in the public space and say, hey, motherfuckers, here I am. I'm going to do my thing. Flex. That is the beginning. I put in the chat a link to a Gary Vee video on something called 1 is greater than 0, which is essentially like an argument for social media, you know, accretive value increase over time, which is essentially saying like every impression you make is a chance to make an impression. So if someone sees a piece of content you've created and you get 1 follow, 1 view, 1 like, 1 is greater than 0. You've begun. Same for Kirk, same for Leo, same for Lobaut, same for all of you. And as someone who has a wonderful mic in front of him, a wonderful camera in front of him, but has been fearful as fuck, you know, I am the Tony Stark's daughter of imposter syndrome. Other people are very impressed with me. It takes a long time for me to be impressed with me. I am the last person to be impressed with me.
and that's why you're on this, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to get
but
there.
also the aggressive tone you take of being like, no, motherfucker, you're here, let's go. And being willing to get in people's face like you did in our episode, to kind of say, only the people who know. Only the people who've experienced what we've experienced kind of know. Other people see us from the outside, like Durant, as someone who was diagnosed at 43. I'm 44 now. I spent a very long time going, you know, someone tapped me on the shoulder and told me, and I'm like, could you guys maybe have told me this earlier? You know, that would have been nice. Like, I love being the funny one. I love being the character. Okay, that's fine. But if this was self-evident to all of you, could you not have tapped me on the shoulder and said, and so I feel that particular journey. And I love, I was saying before, I love Grant's content in the sense that he and I have a maybe similarly dark impression of these things. I'm a teacher by training. I work with a lot of kids who have attention issues, which is kind of all of them. And my mode of communication is very direct. So I will say the thing that other people won't say. So for example, you know, by communicating in a direct way, you give agency and authority to other people to communicate in a direct way and feel the difficult thing that they're disinclined to feel. So when some of Geraint's tweets were, like I would read the tweet and go, shit. But by really, I always say to people, you've got to swim to the bottom of your sea and pull out the plug, because the comorbidities we deal with and the particular specific soup of those comorbidities is really where it's at. It's not just ADHD, it's working out your ADHD and how it messes with, I might be on the spectrum. I don't know. I've never been tested for it. But understanding depression, anxiety, ASD spectrum issues, there's a lot going on. Kirk, the Gary Vee thing is partially for you two, in the sense that if you have started, I fucking salute you, dude. You're there. Step one, turn up. That's cool. Leo, in the entrepreneurial sphere, because I'm fearful as fuck in that world too. Step one, turned up. Terry, step one, turned up. Here you are. Lobo, I loved your podcast and the way you supported me, because I get little kids looking at me with stars in their eyes, but I'm like, oh, they're just being nice. Like, kindness is something we do for other people, and it shouldn't be. So I guess I should get to that part of it first. I'm a teacher. I was diagnosed last year. I now teach with a mind to neurodiversity, with kids with neurodiversity. So if there's a manual on us, we are entitled to it at the age of 5, not the age of 43. I'm pissed off too. And if it's avoidable, then one of the purposes of education should be to avoid it. So I don't know a lot of your journeys, but I salute you for stepping up and starting it. And it's an inspiration to me, because even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, you're doing the thing. And that's fucking cool.
We love you, Justin. Moving right along. Shannon, what strategies do you put into place in your own life that have an effect? I apologize for the break. However, it is very important to me to mention my biggest diehard fans in every episode. To you Patreon subscribers, you are the only reason I can continue to do this. This podcast is proudly supported by Terry Shubilla, Leo Guynan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. If you want to join this insanity, behind the scenes look at this podcast, go to the Patreon page. It's fun. So I love you all so much. Thank you for always supporting me. It means more than you know. Others.
Well, okay, two-part answer. I think,
Right.
First of all, I think one of the most, I was diagnosed with ADHD about 2 years ago, and it's been a whole learning process since then. But I think one of the kind of most important things that I've learned is that there's not like one strategy. There's never going to be one strategy that like is going to work for people with ADHD for the rest of your life. And where before I got diagnosed with ADHD and before I learned that, I was very much like, I'd come across a strategy that would work. It would work for like a week. It would work for a few months. It'd be great. I'd be like, great, I've got my life sorted out. This is perfect. And then it would stop working. And I used to just be like, oh my God, I guess it's something to do with me. There's something wrong with me. Like, I just can't. This strategy, nothing works for me. Nothing works for me. It's hopeless. But since getting diagnosed with ADHD and kind of learning that this is very normal for people with ADHD, we can try a strategy and have it work marvelously for years, for months, for a day. And that's great. And then we just kind of, it will stop working. And then we can just move on to another strategy and that might work. That just having that perspective has been like life-changing for me. So I think, what strategies am I doing? Like all of them. And I'm trying to share as many of them as I can, because I think having more strategies is better.
basically
learning all strategies is better.
the strategy is knowing that your strategy will be different in a week.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure,
sharing that.
for
Like,
sure.
I mean, because that's 100% true. I mean,
For sure.
one strategy is not going to work, forever except for mine, but that's for me. So that's, I mean, truly, but it would be horrible for like anyone else to use the strategy that I use. It'd be good for a month,
Yeah.
and then you would just collapse. Like it would just, just probably not be the greatest.
Yeah.
But
And one of the things I've been doing is the Twitch streaming. And so what I do is I go on and I do co-working streams where, we do some work. I talk through, I kind of like externalize what I'm thinking through, which always really helps. I do it even when I'm not streaming, just to myself. So, but then it also just helps me keep track of time, helps me keep accountable. So really, I started it for me, but also it's been like a fantastic place to share strategies I use. Like people have asked, like, what's the weirdest strategy you have? And I tell them about the automation I set up in 2020 because I literally couldn't ever get to bed before 3 a.m. And I set up an automation that would donate 20 pounds to charity every time I was on my phone, laptop, or iPad after 1 a.m. So that was enough of a deterrent, and it worked for me. And it sounds crazy, but it worked, and it got my sleep back on schedule. So all those kinds of crazy things, those are the things that work for us. And
that sounds completely amazing and heartwarming at the same time. You gotta be kidding me. I love it. But it worked.
It literally works. So, this is what I love about like ADHD, Twitter ADHD community, is you can tell in this room, I'm telling that story, people are like, wow. But we know in other rooms, people will be like, okay. So for me, it's great to have this accepting community of sharing things. And not only people like, wow, that's cool. They're like, how do I do that? Like, so just sharing that, being able to share stuff, and obviously then being involved in this wonderful community and seeing all these different strategies. Like I've implemented so many different things into my life that I've learned from this community that have helped me like
that's awesome.
Immeasurably. So yeah,
like
for me, it's all about
like thinking about the
quantity.
Thinking about the laundry. I'm sure the laundry has been
No, I think about it honestly. I do think about that all the time. I tell people that all the time. The first conversation like we had on this podcast together, our like one-on-one episode, we talked about how the laundry is not the thing your friends and family are going to remember you for. If you're really good at laundry, that's great. But if you're really bad at laundry, like a lot of us are, your friends and family, like that's not what's important in life. And I think about that a lot. Like, yeah, the things I'm bad at are not that important. So I'm fine with that. All the time, I think about that.
I like good. Thank you, Shannon, very, very much. Blushing.
Thank you.
Let's finish it off with you, and then I'm going to ask y'all something else. And it'll be very quick, I promise.
I live stream on Twitch. That's really my main thing that I do. And it's one of my ways that I help other people, but I also help myself by doing that. And sharing my mental health journey, sharing the process of going through ADHD testing and not being helped has definitely affected other people in a good way, because they are experiencing, hey, I'm not actually the only one that experienced this in depression, panic disorder, ADHD, because I'm, as of yet, not yet diagnosed. But my sharing things is really the main thing, being very, very transparent with people. And I can't hide if I'm not doing well and I'm on a camera. I've been doing this for 6 years, and I'm so easy to read. It is not even funny sometimes. So I can't really pretend that I'm okay. I won't even try. But that does help other people a lot, just by being me and being open. But also talking about specific topics on talk show episodes. Then, of course, when I got to know Lobao through Mindset by Dave, I got on this, and this is helping people. But also strategies, bullet journaling. That is a really big one for me, and I've talked about it before on one of the other episodes. So we go through it while I'm live, on camera, explaining how it works, how to simplify it as much as freaking possible.
Exactly. That is kind of the whole point of this. Is for you, it's bullet journals that help you a lot, which will help someone else.
Lists as well.
Right,
Lists is a big thing.
That's what you do that affects someone else for the positive. To be honest, like I could never do the bullet journal thing. You know, just like I could never body double ever. You know, that's just something that I wouldn't be good at. But a lot of people are. So the fact that you're talking about it is making you something for someone that resonates with what you're saying.
Talking about mental health, talking about my ADHD experience, and I'm another one that is closing in on 40, and no, I don't look it, I know. But I'm, it's been like a year since I started thinking, oh, that's what this is about, maybe a year and a half. And then 6 months since I actually saw my GP, my doctor, to start the process. But I have a piece of good news. Is this the time for that, Lobao?
Yes, because we know, like, a couple people know that you've been going through like one of the worst times of your life in terms of the fact that, I mean, shit, if I lived in Norway, I'd so be in jail right now based on like the entire situation that you've been through.
Lobao's been really
that is
pissed
just
off
fucking
on my behalf.
It's so fucking ridiculous. But anyways, I'll let you.
I've been going through testing for ADHD and other things to rule other things out. Long story short, what they ended up doing was saying, yes, we do see that as a child you had a whole lot of signs of having ADHD, but as an adult, there is so many things that can affect how you're doing now. This is chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, and rheumatism mainly. And honestly, you don't get ADHD symptoms except maybe some issues focusing, concentration issues, from what I'm dealing with physically. You don't get a list of 40 other symptoms. You just don't. So the end result is that they're helping me with handling depression, because I do have that. And they are helping me with an application for practical help in the home, which is useful, but nothing more. I'll be floating on my own after that, I thought, until yesterday. Some of you might have seen my tweet, some of you didn't. But I contacted a private practice neuropsychologist who does assessment for ADHD and neuropsychological testing. Now, I've gone through neuropsychological testing. That's a hard word to say. In the summer, late summer. So the person might say, oh, I want those results, but also do some of my own. But I'm getting to see the person. I just need a referral from my GP, my doctor, and I'm seeing my GP on Wednesday of this coming week. And even better news is some of this is going to be covered. Maybe 2 months, two and a half
that is
months
so
from now.
awesome. That is so awesome that is working out, because that, I mean, what a disaster. Okay, that leads me to a question. Anyone's free to jump in. Why the fuck is it so hard for people with ADHD to get the shit that they need? Like, I just don't understand that. I mean, to keep you in that state for that long
4 months
is worsening. Like, I mean, you're constantly going to be anxious and worried where you can't do anything
stressed
else.
Out.
That's so.
I was so low for a while there. I was breaking down 3 times in 2.5 months. I'm climbing slowly back up with the help of y'all. And I will shout a couple of people out right now, and you will probably be slightly uncomfortable, but Lobao and Shannon, those messages back and forth for quite a while, thank you. But the whole group here, y'all mean a lot, a lot.
I talk about a lot because, well, while I was diagnosed when I was 6 years old, young, that doesn't, I really want people to hear this, that doesn't necessarily mean you were any better off, because they really haven't known much about ADHD until the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, all of this new research has come out, and so much more that doctors need to know, and they don't know, obviously.
So they've definitively shown that, like, look, trauma could affect the brain, but ADHD could be, you know, a consequence of that trauma, but you still got ADHD at the end of it. It's like I got hit in the head and my brain works in a different way now, but could I have some help for the fact that my brain works a different way now?
Those little things you don't think, like if somebody says, thank you for sharing that, or thank you for whatever, you really don't know. It is actually having a bigger impact than you think. Legitimately saying, thank you for sharing that, that's not little. That is not little.
No, that's, I'll never, Geraint, I don't know if you heard the last thing I said, but I basically was saying that something you said to me when we were speaking in our episode or whatnot was, you said ADHD is the lens through which we see the world. It is basically the filter of which everything you've ever experienced has been through. That was the most, like, jaw-dropping stop statement like ever. And while we're on the subject of like something for someone, I can't tell you what that meant to me to hear you say that, because then all of a sudden when you said that, I was like, you know what, you're right, fuck them, fuck the people that don't. That was one of the most validating things I had ever heard, so thank you very much for that. And Terry, you getting just one little thing in terms of like, thank you for sharing, that's ridiculous. I mean, how good does that make you feel? How much dopamine does that release?
Oh my God, I overdosed on dopamine.
Right, exactly. Helping others, you know, we do it all the time, and we will, it's funny because it's at a detriment to ourselves, but it also helps ourselves at the same time.
And a second story is, I've been talking about my process of ADHD testing, how I went about it, stuff like that. And someone came to me in private and said, you know what? I've been thinking about this since we've talked about it so much. And I recognize so much of what you're talking about in myself as well, which is how I got to start thinking about it, hearing other people talk about it on a Twitch stream talk show episode, right? So listing, yep, that's me, yep, that's me, yep, that's me. This person had sat like that watching my stream and came to say, hey, I've actually decided to go see my doctor, and then get referred to a place that does assessments. And they're actually in assessment process right now.
Well, there's a win.
So, yep.
If I've ever heard one. Anyone else have something they want to share about? Justin?
A couple, I guess I'll go. The person who told me, the person who tapped me on the shoulder and said, have you ever looked at this? I think you've got to be pretty grateful to that person. Insofar as other people grateful for me, as someone, as a neurodiverse person, the essence of my teaching practice is that I remember what it's like to get shit on. I remember what it's like to get screwed. And I bring that empathy into the room with the kids, because basically people don't sufficiently understand the connection between emotions and cognition. So, you know, shockingly enough, when you're not scared and anxious of being humiliated because the teacher who's teaching you says, oh yeah, I've got ADHD, anxiety and depression too, it's fine. Then you relax, then you learn, then you listen more. The person who told me, the person who tapped me on the shoulder, I'm intensely grateful to, because in a world where a lot of other people had just laughed, or a lot of, like, it's great that I can make people laugh. I feel good about that. But sometimes he was the person to kind of transcend that, tap me on the shoulder and say, rather than just experiencing you, I'm actually going to give you that little bit of insight that could change your life. I'm also grateful in the here and now. I'm grateful to people like Shannon in the sense that I suck with work from home. So the idea of stealing somebody else's structure and then just transplanting that structure as a starting point, I am proactively grateful into the future because of that. I'm grateful for the Terry, because the Terry is adorable to begin with. But also I love the fact that you're doing a big person's job at a big person's business, because if you can do a big person's job at a big person's business, then so can I. I'm grateful for the Kirk, because the Kirk is like, okay, there's 5 people here, but there's 5 people. I have to do that. So I'm grateful for that. Leo, I'm grateful because you've got the kids in the background doing Squirtles and Mewtwo's, but you're still doing the thing. Oh, you're not too busy to get that programming done. I'm grateful to Lobao, because he got in my face and, smacked me up because I needed it. Nah, fuck you. You're brilliant. I'm grateful to Geraint, because I always have to be the person who's direct for other people. I always have to be the person who cuts through for other people. And I was grateful to have someone cut through to a deeper level for me, because sometimes pain gets in the way of that. So the people who kind of hold your hand and go, oh, we're going to go deep. It's uncomfortable, and some people might not like it because it's uncomfortable. But that moment of discomfort is much greater than given the insight that it gives you.
Yeah, I didn't really think this was big at all until this happened.
Took off.
So if this is ever monetized, in whether it's 1 cent or $1 billion, none of us are going to make shit, and it's all going to anti-suicide prevention. That is what's going to happen.
Do I get to share a short story? Another one?
Lusha, you can share whatever you want. Yeah.
There are a lot of issues with people getting to get diagnosed, right? And one of those things is prices. It costs a lot of money, many places. So there's someone who had made a GoFundMe, someone from the US, and I shared that link with someone else that I knew could help, because I couldn't. I could just share the link. And that person gave $300 to the GoFundMe, because I knew that person could afford it and had been told, hey, send people my way. And that person that actually had made the GoFundMe came almost crying back to me and said, you know what happened? I can finance the last bit of my appointment, so now I can go start doing the assessment by my sharing one link.
That is so awesome.
You don't have to do big things. You can do the small things, and that makes a huge difference.
Right. And that's the whole...
That retweet you made on Twitter, or that link you shared on Facebook with your network of people, it means a whole lot.
And that's the whole trajectory of where this is going to shift after this episode. So if you see like Lobao Spark or whatever Spark sponsored by, it's not me, okay? It's not. It is going to go to a good cause. And with the help of Leo and Kirk, who have been just ridiculously instrumental in, like, I would not be able to do this at all without the two of them. This podcast has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, because $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is in the episode's description. Lauren was my wife's best friend and loved by all who came into contact with her. This is not a promotion of Lobao's Spark. This is a promotion of y'all helping people one-on-one that then spreads out. I mean, yes, the spark analogy kind of works there, but it definitely needs to be something that is, you know, between you and someone else that you feel that you could really help if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. It's just,
Yeah. So
that's my whole thing.
Yeah. And that's where we want this to continue to go. We want more and more people to get involved, more and more people to have conversations. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want those links anywhere, let me know. And I am about to mute myself and play this video.
Take care of yourself first. You cannot be there for others before you do.
Like, right now, I am going through probably one of the hardest times in my life. But you know what? Like, I am eating. I am brushing my teeth. I am sleeping okay.
Taking care of myself in the middle of it all. We did fundraising for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in the US, and to say outright that I'm proud of all the hard work I did for that.
I'm putting a video up about diversity and how there's no such thing as normal. It's a whole lot of playful and a whole lot of fun.
So just incorporating a little bit more mindfulness and meditation into just my everyday sort of thing. That's been quite successful.
Now I'm doing all sorts of things again, but it's much better for my mental health because I'm not forcing anything. And overall, I am much happier because of that.
About 3.5 weeks post-op from the largest surgery of my life, so I had somebody there to help me. And the biggest thing that I gained from that was learning to let somebody else do something for me.
But I am like back in line with my orthodontic treatment, and I am feeling like finally for the first time in years, I feel really good that I haven't given up. I feel like this is finally the threshold for success.
It's amazing what's out there in the middle distance.
Let go or be dragged.
When are you going to write down that you love yourself on that list? You know, one of the things that I've been most proud about lately is inspiring people.
It's like, why am I trying to be neurotypical? I'll never be neurotypical. I've just got to lean into being me.
Actually had somebody tell me that I'm making a difference in their life, so I'm really excited about that. Have self-compassion first and the rest will follow.
And I actually stood up for myself.
Stuck up for myself, and I even flipped out at my therapist yesterday. So
Got offered a job at an incredible startup. Just a much better environment.
Knowing yourself, it's been magic. It's been life-changing. Learning about myself, knowing myself, making changes in how I work, how I live. Like, I just want more people.
There is somebody out there who feels alone, who feels like they may not want to be here, and having these discussions does help, whether we realize it or not.
like I don't feel alone.
I'm very proud of what's being done.
We find our advocates and we help them get the information that they need.
Make the seat, give them the wheel, let them do the driving, and get the fuck out of the way as quickly as possible, because freedom does matter.
Explain to people really clearly what the problem is, and then let the individual ADHDers who know their individual quirks and situations figure out the best solution.
Like, I'm doing something meaningful. I'm proud that I'm staying on those roads because they're making my life more meaningful every single day. And you guys are on one of those with me, and I appreciate it.
It's really about like finding like a community where you get that feedback loop. And if you need somebody, just like send it my way and I will tell you it's awesome, because I enjoy everybody doing everything, because I just like, I see somebody release something into the world and I spent so long like not being able to like do things, and I'm just like, you managed to like do something and put it out there, and that's amazing.
Very glad to know y'all and have y'all, because you know what? It's really needed these days for me.
Yeah, you have our support, like
always.
So.
I'm so proud of us, all of us, and those who aren't here today, because this is just the start of what we're doing.